Bazball's a feeling. It's a state of mind.
It's an emotion.
It's an emotion. It's
a
something you
vibe.
have in your heart. Hello, welcome back to the Cooking List podcast. We're all back together again. Hey!
Yeah.
Great enthusiasm there. And we are going to be talking, obviously, about the first test, England versus Pakistan. What a day 5. It was a thrilling test match. We love to see it. We never had a doubt at all that England would come home with the victory. Did we?
No, not really.
Zach, what did you think of day 5's conclusion?
Well, you always knew it was going to be a close one, just because England, they declared at the perfect time with the perfect amount of overs to just tease Pakistan to think, yeah, there's a chance. But yeah, I wasn't really in doubt because I know that Rizwan was batting, and he can obviously, he's a very good batsman, and he was looking strong. And I think it was lunch. At lunch, Rizwan was batting, and I was thinking, if we get him out, even if he scores another 50 runs, if we get him out, then that kind of just opens up the tail, because Pakistan do have a long tail. Plus, they had Azhar Ali to bat with a broken finger. And so I was like, all we need to do is get rid of Rizwan, and we're sorted, because Saud Shakil, he looks like a solid batsman, but he's not a big hitting batsman either. So he's not going to be able to score at more than 3 and over. So I was thinking positive thoughts, as you should do as an England fan, but I wasn't necessarily expecting a win. I didn't think we'd lose, but I wasn't necessarily expecting a win.
It was audacious, this test match, because it was in equal measure boring and exciting. It was a terrible pitch and an incredible test match. And that was all because of England. They're just like Stokes and McCullum. They said, we want to make this a result. And they completely risked losing the test match to win. And that the draw was just not an option. They just didn't want that to happen. So that declaration, with a lead of only, what was it, about 260 or something? It was a really bold declaration. It was, yeah, like very brave. Oh, it was more than a lead of that, but yeah, it was
they had a lead of like 360 because they still had a lead.
But it was a very on that track, very bold declaration, and that I remember seeing like tons of negative comments about it on social media, where they were like, "This is a joke. He's throwing the game away. What a stupid declaration!" And the whole time I was thinking, you know what? I'm actually starting to buy into it, to the point where I would rather England lose, but it goes down as like we lost, but we were the ones that declared. We tried to make it a result on a dead pitch, than just take it like playing for the draw. And how much better was it, the fact that we were the bold team that went out, declared, and then got 10 wickets in a day and a little bit on track that was offering absolutely nothing, trying to get this ball to reverse swing by rubbing it on a bald man's head. It was just, it was peak cricket, wasn't it?
I think that was the thing with the declaration, was that it's this brand of cricket that Ben Stokes is playing and Brendan McCullum's like instilling in the team, that we are never going to settle for a draw. Like, that was the thing with that declaration. It was like, I'm not going to put us in a position where we're going to draw. We're either going to get this knocked off because it's an easy pitch to bat on. Also, England made it look in their 35.5 overs to hit 264 for 7. But they're going out there to win. And I think that especially in the England second innings, Nazim Shah was getting a little bit of reverse swing, like it was starting to do something in that second innings, and you could see that actually there might be a chance here to get those 10 wickets. And I think yesterday, in that last session, when Stokes came out and was bowling exclusively back of the length, not even back of a length, just exclusively bouncers. He bowled 100% half pitch or in front of deliveries in his first opening bowling spell, and him and Robinson really got that going and really set that platform to take it. Like you saw in the first innings just how much spin. This is England's first bowling innings. Sorry, how much spin was bowled across both the teams. And then in the second innings, it's the vast majority of it was with those seamers because they were able to extract a bit of that movement. You saw Anderson nip one back in. You saw Robinson nip one back in that the umpire gave not out, which was, I think, the key wicket was the LBW for Salman, where it looked like it was going down leg. The umpire gave it not out, but England were like, yeah, that's and made that review. I think that was key, and you could see it was doing something at that point in the game.
And you can see there was a stat that was going around, I think it was just before lunch, about how in the fourth innings of test matches, Pakistan has the worst average for spinners. I think spinners average over 35 in the fourth innings of test matches in Pakistan, which shows how much the pitches don't really deteriorate in Pakistan. The spinners generally get into the game. And I think that's probably why Pakistan produce a lot of mystery spinners, because something has to happen. And I think we'll talk about England's maybe selection for the next game and who they might pick spinner wise. But I think the boldness which England's have played with almost creates two things. The first thing is the fact that it puts a bit of fear into the opposition. It puts that question in. There were more plays and misses in the last innings than across the whole test match put together. And Pakistan were nervous. They didn't really know how to approach the game. So it put that uncertainty in Pakistan's batting. And then the other thing is this boldness that they're going about with is working, because we haven't lost a test match since Stokes and McCullum came together in this partnership. And they've been doing all this crazy stuff. They've been playing in this crazy way. And at times you question it. But now it gets to the point where you just trust it. And if England lose,
we've lost one test match against South Africa. But
we lost that
you're
one.
right. You're right. We've been outstanding, and it has revolutionized. I think it could potentially revolutionize, if not test match cricket as a whole, because I think that might be a step too far at this stage. But I certainly think test match cricket on flat pitches, I think it could be a bit of a turning point for those, because it'll no longer mean that on the first day you can be like, oh, it's a draw, no point in watching really. It's actually, no, this could be an absolute run fest that could still result in a result.
Yeah. Well, England, if you look at England 2 years ago playing in India in the subcontinent, and the pitches were after the first test, which England won, the pitches were so conducive to spin. Remember Axar Patel on debut getting loads of wickets, things like that. And all you heard from England was just complaining about the pitch, complaining about the pitch, complaining about the pitch. But England, this game, I've not heard anyone in the England team, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've not heard anyone in the England team complain about the pitch. Because at the end of the day, both teams have to play on it. So what's the point in complaining? Just think, how can we win on this pitch? And the way to win on this pitch was to score fast, heavy runs on the first day.
Absolutely. Speaking of spin conducive pitches and Axar Patel's debut, another spinner that had a very good debut. That was a really bad segue.
What a very good segue. Love those.
Was Will Jacks. And I was incredibly impressed with him. To say that the guy is an incredibly inexperienced spinner. He's been a batsman that has bowled a little bit for the majority of his career. It's only really been this season in the first class system that he has started to bowl a little for Surrey. And then on his debut, which he only found out about like 15 minutes before the start of the game, he bowls 40 and a half overs in the first innings and takes 6 for, including Babar Azam. That's a good day out, I'd say.
Yeah.
I'd take it. And but it wasn't just that he was chucking these pies down and he was getting lucky, a bit like we've seen from the Don Bess in India. He was actually bowling pretty nicely, and there are some good things about his action and the way he's getting a bit of a bit more bounce and turn than Jack Leach, who gets more drift and slide. I don't really know how to describe it. But yeah, like they offer different things, which is quite nice. Now, obviously, we didn't have our other spinner, which would have been very useful in Liam Livingstone, because he was injured, and we wish him all the best. Very nothing debut for him, but yeah. What did you guys think of Jax?
Well, do you think that Jax kind of replaces Moeen Ali in a lot of ways?
I think he does, and I think he actually performs pretty much the same role as him in all the formats potentially. You know, he's a very hard hitting batsman that you can put anywhere in the order, and he can bowl some handy off spin. Now, I think it's going to take a little while for him to develop the off spin skills to the point where they are like genuinely international quality consistently. But I think there are some basics there that are really good. And if he continues in this England setup, especially in the red ball setup, he could be very useful.
I don't think we'll see Jax personally as a like for like Moeen Ali replacement, where or like a Graham Swan replacement, that type of thing, where he's going to be the frontline spinner who bats number 8.
Yeah.
Because I think still in red ball, Jack Leach is our most senior spinner. You know, we've got that confidence in him, especially on the English summer, on English pitches where you're not picking 2 spinners as well. I think there'd be a hard place to find him in that test team, just when we have such a good pace attack. I mean, I'm not convinced we'll see him in the next test match. Like, I think he's made a good case for himself to be in the next test match, and he came out and hit those 3 sixes in and over in that second innings to get that scoring going. But we've got Ben Stokes, who's now back from illness, who you'd assume will slip straight back in because he's, you know, the best keeper in the world. And I'm assuming that Mark Wood is going to come in if he's fit and replace Livingstone, because at where I think we're at Lahore, are we? Oh no, Multan. Multan for the second test match has traditionally, and you see it in the PSL, it does well. We think it should do a bit more for the seamers, and I think with that express pace of Mark Wood, if he is fit, I think would be silly not to see him in that side. I don't know.
So do you think Livingstone and Jax are the ones to make way?
Well, Livingstone definitely will, because
then?
He's been ruled out for the rest of
yeah. I could see
injury.
the Livingstone getting out, and yeah, I do think that we like. I think we'd have paid anything to have Wood in this test match instead of like some specialist fielders like Jennings and Rahan Ahmed. But
what I think would have happened is probably the plan is either that Wood will commit, that Folks will replace Livingstone, bat 7, Jax will move to number 8, and we'll keep the same rest of the bowling attack with Anderson, Robinson, and Leach, or Jax will be left out as well, and then the 2 spin options become Joe Root and Jack Leach, and we have 3 proper seamers, and Ben Stokes is our sort of 4th seamer, potentially, or Anderson gets rested. That's the only other thing that I think. I think Robinson stays in.
I would argue that the difficult choice is who would you drop out of Robinson or Anderson for Wood, and I think it depends on how fit Wood is. Out of the 3 of them, you want to pick the 2 that are the most fit, and because I think, let's say Jax has had a poor game with the ball, and didn't take all those wickets in the first innings, then I could see them playing Rahan Ahmed as that leg break googly bowler, that extra mystery option which you need in Pakistan. But I think because he got those 6 wickets, I can see England backing him. So I don't think they'll drop Jax. But I think Livingstone being injured kind of makes way for Folks, because if Livingstone was available, then that would cause a bit of a headache, I think, for the selectors. So it's just a case of who, if Mark Wood's fit, who does he replace, Robinson or Anderson? Maybe they'll rest him for another game. I don't know. But we'll have to find out.
It's good problems to have, isn't it? It
is good problems to have. Because they might think Joe Root, I would say, bowled better than Jax in the second innings. And they could say, well, Joe Root performs the off spinning option. Jack Leach takes it away. Let's throw in Rahan Ahmed or drop Jacks for Wood, as you said. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's lots of
I, I,
ideas, aren't there?
I think other than that, like I think having Crawley, Duckett, Pope, Brook, Root, that's your top 5. Stokes at 6. I think that's nailed on. I'd like to see Folks back in at 7 just because he is a better keeper than Pope. We saw Pope and Root put a couple of chances down, whereas I don't see we don't see that with Ben Folks. You just have
Great
more
keeper.
confident behind the sticks. He also, makes that batting a bit deeper. Having said that, people like Will Jacks and Liam Livingstone are fantastic batsmen, and you aren't worried to see them in at 7 and 8 because it extends that too. It's a good problem to have. I wouldn't want to be a selector right now, but there we go.
What do we think? Well, I was
Well-
just going to say, what do we think Pakistan can do? Because we have talked a lot about England being England supporters, but Pakistan went with a very inexperienced team coming in. Their test bowlers, their bowlers for the first test were their combined wickets were less than 50. I'm pretty sure. Whereas if you look at Anderson, who's got over 650 or over 600 at least, and it's a massive contrast. Do we think Pakistan need to make many changes to their team?
I think they're going to have 2 forced changes, which is going to be Harris Ralph is obviously ruled out for the next one with an injured quad, I think. And Azhar Ali as well, obviously with his finger. So I think we'll probably see Shan Masood come in. And bowlers wise, not too sure. Like you say, they've got an inexperienced bowling attack at the moment. I was just looking at some of the averages, post games of a lot of these bowlers, and they're looking horrible now. Lots of their frontline bowlers now averaging 50 with the ball. So yeah, it's obviously been a very difficult test match for them. I think Pakistan need to not focus too much on the negatives. There are lots of positives to be drawn out. Their opening partnership is incredible. Babar Azam is still looking imperious. Rizwan is a great talent, and I thought Naseem Shah bowled really well. I thought he worked so hard. To say he's only 19,
leads the attack, doesn't he? In a way,
he really does lead the attack, and yeah, I thought he put up a really good fight at the end as well. To play and miss that many times, he has one of the worst batting techniques defensively I've ever seen. Yeah. But it got the job done almost. So yeah, I think Pakistan aren't too bad.
Yeah, you can see they're missing Shaheen Shah Afridi. Like he's a massive point, and I think they're potentially regretting leaving Yasir Shah out. The veteran leg spinner, who is it Yasir Shah?
Yeah, but he was dropped from the squad for Zahid Mohammed, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
he was.
I reckon they're looking for a bit more control and a bit more experience. And I think Norman Ali, who's in the squad, he's not played many test matches, but he's very experienced. He's 36 years old, left arm orthodox. He just provides a bit of control. And if England are trying to hit out, then he can easily take wickets that way. He's that sort of bowler.
He will also mean that they bat a little bit deeper as well, because he's very handy with the bat. So I think I agree. I would have had him in. I think I mentioned him in the preview, and I was quite surprised not to see him on the team sheet.
I think,
and as far as like debuts go, I'm gonna say Zahid Mahmood. It was a bit of a forgettable one. He now averages 53.16 with the ball at an economy of 7.25.
I want to play another match, won't he? Get him against
howler.
Get him against Zimbabwe or something. Just bring the average.
Yeah. You need a stat pad. Come on.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think in terms of the bowling as well, they have that replacement for Harris Ralph as well. They've not really got that much. They've got potentially Mohammed Wasim Jr., who's in the squad. But I personally think we could see somebody like Hassan Ali get that veteran, call him in as an injury replacement, and give him another one of his test caps. That would be my preference. But yeah, there we go.
I think we have one or maybe more, a few CNQs. And obviously they're from an absolute legend of the game, PD. And he has asked, first of all, you'll probably cover this on your day review, fire review anyway. Did Stokes declare too early? He said he sent this in a day ago. Did Stokes declare too early? I understand that England want to force a result, but England could have batted another 10 overs or until they ran out of batters. Well, I'm happy to answer this one. No, if he declared any later, we'd have run out of daylight.
Yeah, true.
Especially with who was it? Was it Muhammad Ali at the end of the drinks break, deciding he then needs the toilet? I admired that tactic. I've got a lot of respect for it.
Well, PD did answer himself though, because he says, "I was wrong by a big stretch. England pulled off an amazing victory on a dead pitch. Well done."
Yeah. Cheers, PD. Legend of the game answers his own CNQs. In fact, in CNQ number 2, he said, "You can discard my previous question." Sorry,
never,
I didn't.
Never.
Do you think Bazball will win you the Ashes in Australia? Yeah, because Bazball is about being positive, isn't it? What do you think, Zach?
Well, given how we played in the last series against Australia, my biggest frustration then was that England didn't show any fight. And I think Bazball is kind of the opposite of that, is not being timid, is facing down your opposition and having a go. And so, which kind of links into question 3, which is, what is Bazball? Is it a new skill? Is it a new frame of mind? Or is it simply being confident and aware of one's pre-existing set of skills?
I'll take this one. Bazball's a feeling. It's a state of mind.
It's an emotion.
It's an emotion.
It's a
something
vibe
you have in your heart. It's no one knows what Bazball is. It's just this phrase that all England fans have been throwing around. I think it's just that mindset of being positive, of saying, look, we're not going to go for a draw. Like, actually, a draw is as bad as a loss in our mind. If we draw, we've lost. We may as well go out fighting and lose than draw. Drawing sucks. I think that's the mindset. And it's that feeling, it's that emotion, it's that, ability just to throw everything at it at the end. Score at rates, bowl at, I don't know.
It's the essence of cricket, really, isn't it?
And if you want to feel that essence, if you want to become part of this collective spiritual Bazball, then hit subscribe. And hit like, become part of this Bazball community. Also follow our social medias. We are at Cricket Nerds Pod. You can listen to our podcasts on a bunch of podcasting websites. Just search this, all right? Search it into Google and tell your friends. Zach, I heard you've got a stat.
I have. So on this day, a whole 34 years ago, there was a man called Merv Hughes. If you haven't seen his moustache, check out his moustache. It's awesome. But he took a hat trick. But he took a hat trick in the most convoluted way possible. He got one off the last ball of his 36th over. Then he got one off the first ball of his 37th over. And then he got one off his first ball in the second innings. Best hat trick ever. So there we go.
So if you want to be like Merv Hughes and take confusing hat tricks, hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Bazball.